Not that bad. Yeah, but at all. It goes down smoother than that black, than the dark. But you got 2 more months, right?
More.
How you feel?
Huh?
You feel good? You good. You haven't had no complications or anything, right? That's the goal.
I know.
You see a little double on soon. You just bless the God. He's going to you became mother.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? That's a great blessing. That scripture that talks about how our women have become food, that should have been on my mind for like the last 2 weeks, because I've been seeing all kinds of stuff like that. Where the women, they like, totally disregard their responsibility. Mother. That doesn't happen to me today.
Most High in Christ, Salakia for the delay. You know what I'm saying? Had to set it up. Let's clap it up. Hey, Shalom, Yahweh Bashem, Yahweh Shah, Baraka Thumb to all the brothers. Yahweh Shamar, Allah Thun, Bashem, Yahweh Shah to all the sisters. This is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Command in General Yohana. You understand? Established Salakia in 1969. Like I said, in Harlem, New York. Been teaching the truth of the Bible since then. Right? Teaching the truth according to the Bible that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are the true Jews according to the Bible. You understand? And of course, this is the Friday night Lashawan Qadash class, the Hebrew class, out here in Durham, North Carolina. Priest and Officer of 1,000 One, holding it down with my brother, Officer 500 Yanazar. Okay. And so we're gonna get right into it. Oh, Salakia. I did have to go live from another channel. Let me add a destination. Salakia. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. It's no sweat. It should pop up now. Kind. Let me just make sure. Let me make sure the live is correct. Yeah, it's all good. Most High in Christ. Okay, let me see. Goldsboro. Well, that's not their Facebook. Isupk. Goldsboro. Yep. In Christ, perfect. All right. Smooth. All right. So since 1969, teaching that blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians are the true Jews according to the Bible, and that's that's an important thing that we can't really gloss over that. You know what I'm saying? And the truth, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's common for us now to think about it, right? Like we're Israelites. We know that. We've been in the truth, But there was a time when that was a controversial, and even now it is. I mean, look at what happened when a celebrity even says anything about Israelites or being black people being Jews and Hebrews, they gotta change their tune real quick so they don't lose that corporate funding. You know what I'm saying? But but that's what it is. Like, it's somewhat less controversial now because IGBK been doing this since 1969. But there was certainly a time when, like, to say black people are the real Jews, Hispanics and Native Indians are the real Jews, it was confusing. And it was like, that is the most ridiculous thing I ever heard in my life. But now, things we've been saying since 1969, the truth is coming to the light. We always said it. We always knew the evidence was there. Everything we've been saying we said it. And they said them niggas are crazy. He said they looked at us on them street corners and said, these are actual crazy people. They literally believed that we were like not people. What do they say, Yanazor? We go to camp, get a job. Go back to Harlem. 500, 600 miles away in the UK, South Carolina, North Carolina, California. Take that back to New York. What are you talking about? You understand? But that's what they say to us, you know? And it's like, now you turn on your news and what is it saying now? Now UFOs is just a thing, right? It's accepted. Like, it's not even like, if you say, oh man, them UFOs ain't real, now you're the crazy person. Yeah, Yanazor, please.
Matter of fact, day before yesterday, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, the Congress had a hearing on UFOs. And while I was watching it on CNN, they didn't put the hearings on the broadcast, but they said that you could go to CNN.com, sir, Salakia, sir, and view the congressional hearing on UFO. But they had some never before seen footage.
Right.
So the whatever authorities are in control of that, they released a whole lot of new footage. And one of the things that I saw, they were using this infrared type of camera to see these UFOs. It was like they were shaped like a pyramid, like a triangle. It was like 100 of them. No kidding. I guarantee you're going to see it. If you look up the U.S. congressional hearing on UFOs, it'll probably be there.
Now check that out. U.S. congressional hearing on UFOs. The Isupk said the UFOs were real. That was controversial enough. We said they weren't we said what you call unidentified flying objects are in fact the chariots of the Most High and his angels, right? But I remember even in the 90s, they would try to say that ain't real. UFOs are not a thing. You know, we know what that is, or that's just some kind of light reflecting off of Venus or some craziness. But they would never say, yo, we have no idea what that is, a flying object that we have no idea what that is. Please.
If I may, sir, what they also was saying was now that they have to release this information to the public because it might be an imminent threat. That's what I quote. That's almost a quote.
Which is very important.
Yeah. So this is why they having the congressional hearings. Matter of fact, probably Monday. I ain't gonna do it this weekend. I'm probably gonna Google the hearings and see if I can watch it. Because I want to see what they're trying to put down, because this is the first time they made an inference to it where they're not. It didn't seem like they were trying to con people into believing one thing or another.
Right. But that's what it is, man. We've been controversial since 1969, and to say that this language was the language of black people was an astonishment. It was a crazy, crazy thing, just like it is today. You understand? So give me let's see. Let's get right into it, man. We're not going to waste too much time because we already started a little late. Bear with me just a moment. Let's see, 1 second. Let's get Deuteronomy 7 and 6. Let's read that first, and then we're gonna get Psalms 37 and 11.
37 and 11.
Let me write it down.
Okay. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 6. For thou art an holy people,
right,
unto the Lord thy God.
One of my favorite scriptures. You know why? Because as a black man in America, and we talked about this a little bit on the show today, like as a black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man, and woman, black pride is a fickle thing. What I mean by fickle, I mean that it's something that we've tried to develop and we've tried to almost create out of thin air, but it's always been a futile thing because in America, we're trained to hate ourselves. We've always been trained to hate ourselves. You know why black people had to make songs like "I'm Black and I'm Proud"? Why James Brown had to make songs like that? You know why black people had to have Afro Sheen commercials where it was like the beautiful, elegant Nubian queen, princess of the earth. Look at her in all of her Afrocentric beauty, which we know Africa, that African mumbo jumbo. We're not African. But the point is, we've always had to have something to be able to like, oh, wow, I should be proud of what I am. Why do we have to do that? Yeah, Yanazar.
If I may, sir, primarily because during the transatlantic slave trade, and even before that, when we were in Africa, the remembrance of who we are was wiped from our memory. And anybody who doesn't know who they are is subject to any kind and all kinds of manipulation.
That's right. But you absolutely right. You on it. But just give me a little more. What did they do to wipe that image from my head? They did a lot of things. But right now I'm talking about our pride, our sense of we're awesome. Because doesn't every nation think that about themselves? Don't the Chinese think that the Chinese are the best?
Absolutely.
Doesn't the Japanese think that they're better than the Chinese, even though they all look the same to me?
Lord have
but
mercy.
They think, I don't care. Like, we're the best. And then if you go to Japan, the people from Tokyo think they're better than the people from this part of Japan. And it keeps going and going and going. The Scots think they're better than the Irish. The French think they're better than the Spanish, and so on. Right? So how do you get a group of people to, like you said, to not even know that they're great? What's a major way you do that?
You tell them that there's somebody else.
Right. Who do you tell them they are?
Africans.
Close. You're right, but that's more like displacing their actual knowledge of where they come from. That's like confusing them. By telling them you're from Africa, you confuse them to not knowing where I really come from. Because on the surface, that's not wrong. Because where did they capture us from? The coast of Africa, or what they called Africa. So I mean that on the surface is believable. It's wrong, but it's believable. But at the root of a man, at the root of a people, how do you convince them that they shouldn't be proud of what they are? How do you convince them they shouldn't even care to find out that they're anything else?
Well, I mean, if I may, sir, one of the things they did with us is told us that we had no history.
That's a good one. You getting closer.
And
you want it.
You know, that we weren't a people. Like we should be glad that they rescued us from Africa. Or
I'm gonna give it to you because you basically saying it. You do it by convincing someone there's nothing about them worth finding out. Like there is no, like you said, there is no other history. You're a nigger. You're a spick and a wetback. You're a slave. That's all you are, and that's all you've ever been good to be. And you make legislation that tells them you're not even human. The little bit of humanity you have, I gave you. I took you from being a clicking, spear chucking savage and made you a little bit like a human. You know, that's what I did that for you. You're not really anything. And your women aren't beautiful. You're nigh into being a monkey. That's what they called us, right? When they drew us in their cartoons, did that look? You look at the old cartoons, the old Bugs Bunny cartoons. They would draw us, we didn't even look human. They would draw us damn near like an ape or some kind of gorilla. Long arms, dragging on the ground, exaggerated lips, exaggerated nose, big heads, right? The way we move, and then we were always what? Sluggard, drowsy. Go ahead.
I even saw this cartoon where they had this bug. I think it was Elmer Fudd, one of them, against this native Indian.
Mm-hmm.
He was big chief, whatever.
Right.
And he had the same look, except he had the big snars, he had the feather in his head, and he was actually dragging his knuckles on the ground. And it was the cartoon was about how the oppressor tricked him out of his land.
Mm-hmm.
He conned the native Indian into jumping off a cliff.
Wow.
And when he jumped off the cliff, the whole land that he had disappeared into the ground, and America reappeared.
Wow.
It's a Bugs Bunny cartoon, man. I was checking it out. Like, I seen it many times when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But, now
the truth, yeah.
You understand what
Absolutely. So that's what they did. Convince us that we weren't even people, so to speak. You understand? And that's why this scripture, Deuteronomy 7:6, is so heavy. Read it from the top.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7 and verse 6.
Because they can try to convince us of one thing. Meanwhile, the Lord has been trying to tell us since the beginning of our existence this. Go ahead.
For thou art an holy people.
For thou art an holy people. What does holy mean?
Set apart, separate.
Set apart or separate. Go ahead.
Unto the Lord thy God.
Unto him. We're separate unto him. Go ahead.
The Lord thy God hath chosen thee.
Right.
To be a special people.
Right.
Unto himself. This the kicker. Above all people that are upon the face of the earth.
That scripture never gets tiring. Above all people. So you mean to tell me that the same people that they said were 3/5 of a man, niggas, spicks, and wetbacks, and that all we were was slaves? That's all we were. That's all we knew. The words that they used to describe us were oftentimes synonymous. Nigger wasn't just used. Nigger didn't become an insult until later. When nigger was used during slavery, it was almost like a title. It was a title, right? That's or your status, right? So if you go watch the movie 12 Years a Slave, there's a part where the black woman, Alfred Woodard, who was married to the damn devil, she refers to his name is Platt, or they called him Platt. She refers to him as nigger Platt. So he would say, "Madam," and she would say, "Nigger Platt, how are you?" "Yeah, I was with nigger Platt. I was with nigger Jones," because it was a title. That's what you are. You understand? But this Bible is truly our book because it told us you would become that. It said you would become a proverb and a byword. And Barakatah Yahweh Yahweh for the men above us, the brothers who came into the truth in 1969 and did the research and gave us this back. You understand? And now we're where we are now. Read on, brother.
Verse 7. The Lord thy God, the Lord did not set his love upon you.
You can drop that.
So if I can say something.
Go ahead.
When I was in high school, I remember, them telling us, this was like in 1975, them telling us that black people didn't contribute anything to civilization.
Wow.
But when we read the Sabbath service,
right,
we talking about before there was any Greece, Rome, we were using forks and spoons.
Right.
And they you know what I'm saying?
First off, that's crazy because we didn't contribute anything to civilization, but look at how much we contributed to America. American civilization owes so much of itself to black people, and not just because from free slave labor, but from our minds. These lies about black people being dumb and that's propaganda, is what I'm saying. That was always propaganda. We were the best navigators, naval officers. We were the best warriors when it came to battles. We were the best even when it came to medicine. Let's not forget the first open heart surgery that was successfully performed was performed by a black man. I forgot his name, but the first one ever. Let's not forget about the street lights that we use all throughout America. America functions on street lights that Garrett Morgan, I believe is his name, created. We know that Thomas Edison was a thief. Thomas Edison wasn't no real, super intelligent engineer of a person. He wasn't. You know what I'm saying? Tesla was more of a scientist than him. He was stealing all kind of patents. And we know that it was Lewis Latimer who created the filament that we use in lights today, which is really the light. The thing that makes the light stay on and useful was made by a black man. And we could do this all day. You know what I'm saying? Give me Psalms 37 and 11 so we can get right into this. You know what I'm saying? Just again to show our people, this is important, man. Like, be very proud of this.
This is the book of Psalm, chapter 37 and verse 11. But the meek shall inherit the earth and shall delight themselves.
The what?
Delight themselves.
The meek shall inherit the earth.
The meek.
The meek. What does it mean to be meek?
Without power.
Right. Lowly. You can almost even say poor. That's who's going to inherit the earth. Not Donald Trump, not Joe Biden, not the Queen of England. You understand? Not all these other nations that already have their own sustenance. These other nations that already have their own currency. You know, Chinese people have their own currency, right? Can you imagine as a black person or a Native American Indian or a so-called Hispanic person, a Latino, what it's like to have your own currency? They have their own currency in Africa too, if I'm not mistaken. Well, different countries have different currencies. Yeah. Certainly, you got euros in Europe. All right. You got pounds in the UK. Most of these different countries have some form of their own currency. In East India, they have what? Rupees, right? I don't know what they got in the Arab world. What they got with? Something. They got something over there. Yeah, Chinese, they got yen. So they don't have to, their money doesn't have their slave master on it. How many of us bought something today? Went to the store and just bought anything? Now, maybe you use your credit card. Maybe you use some cash. Maybe you use whatever you use. But if you use some cash, there was not a black man on that bill. If you use your credit card, that credit card was not issued by a bank that's owned by a black person, Hispanic or Native Indian. You understand? Same thing with your debit card. That money is not in a bank owned, or more than likely, not in a bank owned by black people. And even if it is, that bank is backed by a bank owned by our oppressor. And that's just the reality. Give me Psalms, or finish it out, and then we can go on to the Lashawan.
But the meek shall inherit the earth and shall delight themselves in the abundance of peace.
Right. We're going to get the kingdom, all right? So let's get into this Lashawan QDASH real quick. Last week, we went into, we did the ancient, okay? We talked about Noah and his 3 sons, right? We talked about connectors, all right? Let's do a little review of the Assyrian. Let's jump straight into the Assyrian just a little bit, because it's been a while and it's absolutely crucial. Hold up, let me turn something down. Seems like everything's extra loud all of a sudden. Bear with me. Test. All right, that should be that's pretty good. All right. So Yanazar, if you could, brother. Gotta be real precise. What? This? I don't know. Go. Got to erase a little bit of something, but no, we should be good to go. All right, Yanazar, if you could, my brother, you know what I'm saying, hit us with the excellent, penmanship right on top of each one of these, right? So, matter of fact, I'm gonna bring y'all over. Can I? It may not be. It may go too. May not extend far enough. But if y'all could just get a quick glimpse of it. See that over there? Yeah, I can't take it too far because it's gonna. Right. But that's the Lashawan Qadash and the Assyrian over there, right? That's the table we use, right? You can actually get a copy. You understand what I'm saying? So you can follow along. If you need a copy, of course, just go to your local school. I mean, your local Isupk, obviously. Now, don't go to just a random school. Interestingly enough, fake Israelites use that chart that is, and they will pass that chart around in their fake schools, and the damn thing says Isupk at the top. I mean, just no shame whatsoever. Good. Also, it's been a while. We ain't seen that Assyrian in a little minute. It's all good though. So again, this Assyrian, right? The Assyrian, no, you good to go. The Assyrian, right, is simply a borrowed writing system, a borrowed alphabet. I don't even say alphabet. No, that's not even correct. This is a borrowed writing system. They're borrowed symbols. That's all. Nothing else is different. Why am I saying that? Because a lot of times, especially for young brothers and sisters coming into the truth, it's a very confusing thing. They're like, wait a minute. So the other one, the ancient is Lashawan Qadash, Assyrian isn't. They can't wrap their mind around the idea that the Assyrian can also be Lashawan Qadash, right? It's very difficult for them. What you could do, Yanazar, you see where I wrote Lashawan with the ancient there? You can go ahead and to the left. You can erase all of that where it says Israel, Yasha Allah. Yeah. And then you got to put those other, the forms that goes at the end of a word. Count the water. Right? And that's very confusing to them. How could that be? If the ancient is the form that we originally wrote, then that must be Lashawan Qadash. No. Remember, what is Lashawan Qadash? What is it? That's correct. It is the holy tongue. But what? I'm being a little cheeky here. So it's the holy tongue or the holy language, right? Meaning it is a what? Just forget the separate part. It's a language. That's what it is, right? And a language, as you just so eloquently put it, holy tongue, coming from the word what? Lashawan, which means tongue, and then transferred over to Lashawan, which means, language, because it's an action you use your tongue for. The tongue is always associated with language, the holy tongue, right? So it's a language. The language. And what do you do with a language? Again, that's why I'm kind of focusing on the tongue part. What do you do with a language? You speak the language. Lashawan Qadash is spoken. It's spoken. even if I don't write something in English, I can still speak it. I don't know how to write ni hao. What's up? Something wrong? Yeah, that was it was correct. It was just a little. He looked like he belonged in the Special Olympics. He was a little off kilter. All good. There you go, brother. Most High in Christ. It's a spoken language. I don't know how to write ni hao in Chinese or Cantonese, Mandarin, whatever the hell it's in. I think it's Cantonese. I don't know. It might be Mandarin. But I can still say it because it's a language. It's spoken. And the same way that works is the same way Lashawan Qadash works. Lashawan Qadash is a language. It's the holy language, the holy tongue. It's how we speak. In writing it, we do have a letter system that is reflective of our history. That's our original or most comprehensive. Let's say that. It's the most comprehensive alphabet that we've used in our history. As we've shown, there were forms that came even before the Lashawan Qadash, that or better, Slakia, the letters that we know so well. I'll erase this too. Just a moment. What's the word we use to grab? So the ancient, right? The original ah would have looked something like this. Let me get a better one. Here you go. This is better. That's what the original ah would have looked something like. To represent what animal again? A cow, right? But of course, imagine if every time you want to write Khan Adawan Khan, you got to write this in the middle. First, you got to write a original Ka, an original Na, and then you got to draw this with a Da and a Wa. Let's see, what did the original Da look like? If we could even find it. I'm not going to use this one because I'm not too sure how accurate it is. But suffice to say, you got to draw a more intricate symbol to say Khan Adawan Khan. Now imagine you got to document something. Imagine you have to document something. You know what I mean? The king of Israel is talking, or the prophet is speaking, and he says, Shalom, Yahweh Shem Shekatah, Barak Lanawa, and you sitting there trying to, it's going to be a mess. When you can very easily just write, oh, let me make sure I do the right one. I don't want to confuse anybody and mix up the, right? But this, you can do this one pretty quick. Khan, Ada, Wan, Khan. See that? You see how it's a more functional writing system. It's the oldest of the functioning writing systems. Khan, Ada, Wan, Khan. You understand? You can write it like that. And so that's what that is, but that Lashawan Qadash is spoken. So whether I write it like this, or if I write it like this, and actually this da is incorrect, Salakia, for that. I get mixed up sometimes. There we go. I write it that way, which is again the oldest way. This is our original way of writing it. This is just a borrowed form when we were in Assyrian in a captivity under the Assyrians, because this was the common way of writing at the time, the common alphabet used, the common symbols used. But we're gonna say it what? The exact same way. Khan, Adawan, Khan. Khan, Adawan, Khan. You understand? Just like if I write this, what does that say? Khan, Adawan, Khan. But if I put this in front of an oppressor and say, read that, they're going to say, can Adawan can. They're not going to know how to read it either way. I can write this, or this. They're not going to know what the hell it says, but they have a better chance with this, right? And guess what? If I show this to a black man, he's going to act the same way if he's never seen Lashawan Qadash before. He doesn't know how to speak ancient Hebrew. He's not going to know what any of this means. So it's just writing symbols, all right? So that's all the Assyrian is a different form of writing. But the language is the same. We only speak Hebrew in here. Lashawan Qadash is Hebrew. Anything anyone else is speaking is not Hebrew. You understand? It's not. It's some made up, concocted form of the language that didn't grow organically. And the reason why we can say that is because we're the true Jews according to the Bible. Go ahead, Yanazar.
Now, I was just going to say, if I may, sir, that the proof that these people are not speaking Hebrew, I don't care who they are, is when you look up the ancient Hebrew, you find that between 400 and 500 years after Christ, the so-called Lashawan Qadash, or the original Hebrew, became an extinct language. Mm-hmm. And in concordance with our dispersal from out of our land. Right. So that's proof in itself, right, that this language doesn't belong to anybody but us, because it disappeared after we disappeared.
Right. Without going into detail, the so-called Jewish man is, I'm trying to think of a good analogy. I'm thinking of a good analogy for maybe a movie or something. Khan, yeah, that's close. That's close. That's definitely close. But I'm trying to think of a situation where in a movie or some situation where someone pretended to be someone else. Anybody know the background story of the wizard in the Wizard of Oz? How did he get to Oz? Please. You got it. The mic is turned off.
I think the battery. Okay. he got to Oz the same way Dorothy got to Oz.
Mm-hmm.
He got on a balloon
Mm-hmm.
and he came to Oz, and he was like a hustler
Mm-hmm.
selling like snake oil and stuff like that to people.
Got you. A snake oil salesman. Got you.
Yeah. And then he landed in Oz, and he found a way to dupe all of the people
To
in
dupe
Oz.
the Munchkins into believing he was the great wizard.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay. No sweat. Not a problem. Something like that. I'm gonna find a better analogy, but just for time's sake, the so-called Jewish man simply came to our records and converted himself into something that there was really no one at the time to argue that, to argue against him. You understand? He took upon our identity. He took upon all of our symbols and everything because he was in control at the time, right? Whoever's in control writes history. You know what I'm saying? That's just how that goes. And so that's how he became people look at him as being the Jew. He hijacked it when we were out of our land. We had been expelled from our land, since 70 AD? All right. So let's get into it real fast, right? We're gonna run through this one just like we did with the ancient. All right, y'all ready? We're gonna do it together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Ah, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ha, ta, ya, ka, la, ma, na, sa, I, pa, za, qua, ra, sha, da. All right. And these last symbols right here, these are just the symbols you use when it's the last letter in a word, okay? As we did here, right? So in the ancient, this is ancient at the top. You see Khan, Adawan, Khan, which means yes, sir, yes, right? The na doesn't change. If we were to see this na in any other, say, in a word like Captain Nyathock's name, right? You know what I'm saying? In any word that may start with a na, or na might be in the middle, right? In ancient, it doesn't change. It's going to be the same symbol regardless of where it is in the word. But in the Assyrian, the symbol changes depending on where it is in the word. If the na is either in the middle of a word, or at the beginning of a word, it's going to be this symbol where we at right here. This na, it almost looks like a 3. Right? Almost looks like a 3. It's something like this. Right? The na. Okay? But at the end of a word, the symbol is now taking the same concept, but instead of bringing it back, you're going to go like this. And instead of bringing it back, you're going to keep going past the baseline. All right? And that's how that works. But it's still written from right to left. And another major important thing is that we don't have what in Assyrian? What don't we have? We don't have connectors. We don't have these little things under the words, under the letters that tell us exactly where the syllables are. You know, how many syllables there are. That's what this is for. Khan, Ada, Wan, Khan. Tells us how many syllables we're going to utilize. We don't have that luxury when we're reading the Assyrian, right? So how do we resolve this problem? Well, we study. We study, ask questions. We ask the men above us, what's the proper way to say this word, right? We use, when you go to your concordance, or you go to Blue Letter, there's some tools there that will be helpful. It's not perfect, but you can utilize certain clues to help you. As far as those dots and everything, I believe I've heard that they're useful to help you know where the syllables are, but even that, I'm not too sure, and I need some clarification on that. But an example would be something like this, right? So let's say a word like this. You might know what that word is. Which means our Father, right? Abba Nawa, right? But how do we know it's not Abba No? How do we know it's not Abunwa? Because guess what? Abunwa is certainly a word. How do we know? Right, but it can still say Abunwa. What does Abun mean? I actually don't know myself. I thought maybe one of y'all knew. Officer Abun, let's see if we can't find out in our handy dandy Strong's Concordance. If we're searching for a word in the Strong's Concordance based on the Hebrew, right? So we're working, I don't want to say backwards, but this is how we're trying to find it. We know the transliteration. We know that word, right? So then if we know that, then what do we also know? We also know how to write it in ancient and Assyrian. Ancient, we're going to write what? Right, we're going to write ba, and na, but we're going to say bun, right? And we'll do the same thing in Assyrian. A bun, right? We know that's how to write it in those two languages. But now we want to find the definition. So we're going to do the same thing we would do if we were trying to find the definition of a word in an English dictionary. We're going to go to alphabetical order, and we're going to find this word. So we're going to go to what section first? First things first, anatomy of a concordance. Right, Khan. But in knowing the anatomy of a concordance, the first part of a concordance is actually the concordance itself. Right? Main concordance, right? Meaning the first section of a concordance doesn't give definition. It gives what? It gives a system of words. It gives a collection of words. That's what a concordance actually is. Y'all follow me? I got you. No sweat. And the actual definition of a concordance, what it actually is a reference to all the words that are used in a text. That's what a concordance is. Look at the definition of a concordance. Let's see what the official way they word it. Let's look at the definition of a concordance. Come on, yeah.
Salakia, an alphabetical index of the principal words in a book or the works of an author with their immediate context, concord, agreement.
Right. It's an index. That's the best way to put it. It's an index of the words used in a book. So the concordance, the main concordance part, what it does is it tells us where to find the words that are used in a text. Meaning this, at some point in the Bible, the word king is used. The main concordance is where we go to find all the uses of that word. Every single moment where this word appears in the text. But since we're talking about a Strong's Concordance of the Bible, it doesn't just tell us where to find it. It also, because remember, it's also a translation from other languages. So it also tells us which words were translated to represent this word, right? Because usually there's multiple ones. There might be the main word for king in Hebrew is what? What's the malak, right? But there are other words that they chose to translate into this English word king. And the concordance tells us that. It also tells us what Greek words were translated to this English word king. Then it gives us a reference number or an index number. It'll say something like, this is not actually correct, but it'll be something like H, 4276 or something. And what that will now allow us to do is to go to the section of the concordance that actually gives us definitions. It allows us to go to that section and get an understanding of the actual meaning of the word in its original language. Let's see what they call that part. Dictionary, see this? First part, it says dictionary of Hebrew and Aramaic words. Okay. Dictionary of Hebrew and Aramaic words. Aramaic is just like, it's like Hebrew, but it's just a little off. I don't even know how to exactly, I got to get a breakdown on exactly what. Aramaic isn't Hebrew, but it's like some overlap. You know what I'm saying? There's like some kind of connection between the two to where it's pretty much the same words. Why it's called Aramaic, I'm not sure. Unless you got some Yanazar.
Yes, sir. Aramaic is from the nation Aram, which is one of our Semitic sister languages. It was very, very similar to what we call ancient Hebrew.
No different than ancient like Moabite. Like, because again, if you look at the Moabite stone, they're not Israelites, but the Moabite stone is written in, it looks exactly like Lashawan, Qadash, or the ancient. So I understand what you're saying, Khan. All right, but that's what that part is. So if we wanted to just say, okay, well, there's this word, I want to know what Hebrew word, what's the Hebrew word for forever? I would go to the main concordance, I would find the English word forever, then I would see all the different index numbers used and search through them to find the one that's appropriate to whatever scripture I'm talking about, right? Simple enough. But now what we want to do is we want to go in the opposite direction. We want to, oh, my bad. I erased the pie you wrote. My bad, bro. Say what? I bet you there is. First of all, I think forever would be like I. What do we say at the end of the Lord's Prayer? I was trying to my invite. I think it might be I will alone. Something like that. At the end of the Lord's Prayer in English is what?
I know it's in there. I don't know if it's like.
It's like the last word. Right, I want to.
I want the glory.
For thine is the kingdom. Look, for thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Forever. I'm looking at this thing. I know I'm not tripping. Forever that means the last word.
Yeah, and also,
Yeah. And the glory forever shall be. So be it among. So forever I believe is I will alone. But we're gonna find out right now. So my money is on I will alone. Let's find out. Let's go to the main concordance. And we're just gonna get alphabetical order, A, B, C, D, F, G. We're gonna go to the F's. Right? Foolish, forcible, forward, forecast, forehead, foreheads. Here we go. Forever. Okay, let's see. Ever. No problem. Ever. Right, because the word forever isn't used. It's ever. Ever. It's I see H 5769 is used a lot. H 5769.
59.
H 5769. Yep, I will alone. I will means forever. Now that we did that part, let's go in the opposite direction. We already have the Hebrew word, so we got to do the same thing in reverse. We have to go to the alphabetical order in the Hebrew. So now instead of going to the main concordance, we're going to go what? To the dictionary, the Hebrew dictionary. Just like we would in English, we're going to look up the first letter, the ah, then we're going to see the ba and the na on the word. So we know that ah and ba are the first two letters of the Hebrew alphabet. So it should be pretty early. Because it's going to be ah ba, like Abba, like father. And we're just going to go down to find ah, ba, na in succession. A ball, right? You got la. So now we got the la. Here we go. A bun. The root of H1129 through the meaning to build, it means a stone. A bun means stone or mason, weight. Okay? So that's how we do it. We go in reverse with it to learn the meaning of those words. All right? Now, let's get rid of this. But guess what? What I was getting to was this. Knowing what a bun means now, we can know how to say this based on what? Context. Which is why I always encourage brothers to read the scriptures before you get to the Sabbath service. Try to read it. Try to read it in English. So that way you kind of know ahead of time what it's saying. Even if you don't know the full breakdown, you know what words are used. Because how many times are we sitting in the Sabbath service? I've done it a million times. I know my brothers have done it a million times. Where you read it and all of a sudden you come across a word and you go, yeah, hawash, and you go, oh, Yahawashai, right? Or you read it and you go, apa, yarama. Wait a minute, aparium, right? Happens all the time. You would know that if you would have read the verse first and know that it said what? And Ephraim did whatever, and Joshua did whatever. Because you're going to make the association because you've been in the Lashawan Qadash class. You've been studying, right? So you know what words go with what. So guess what? Now you know a bun is what? Stone or mason. It has something to do with bricks and masonry and stones. Building. And you know that Abba is what? Father. So if you read it in English and it says, or something like that, then what will you say? When you get to the part in the verse, what will you say then? Then you'll know that it's probably a bunwa. But if it says, our Father, you know it has to be what? Abanawa. Contextually. You learn the meaning of the words so you know what the root is. In this sense, or you can say stone, whatever, the root is not Abba. This whole thing, Ba, and Na, a bun is the root. So the odd man out is the Wa. In this sense, the root is Abba. So the Nawa is the odd man out. So when we read it, we know we have to separate the Abba from the Nawa. In this one, we just have to separate the Wa from the Abun. Okay? So that's the importance of studying it in that way. Okay. Let's see. Now, with that being said, how much time we got? Let's get into these interrogative pronouns. So what we're going to learn now is what is you could call the 5 W's, right? Who, what, when, where. What's the 5th one? Why. Right? We've gone over it before. Maybe y'all might remember. Who does anybody remember how to say what? Uh-huh. How you say, what is your name? Moment. Ma. Let's see if we can find. Look at the definition of an interrogative pronoun, if you could, Baba Shah. Interrogative pronoun. I got something right here. What are interrogative pronouns? An interrogative pronoun is a pronoun which is used to make asking questions easy. There are just 5 interrogative pronouns. Each one is used to ask a very specific question or indirect question. Some, such as who and whom, only refer only to people, right? Salakia. What, which, who, whom, whose. There's a lot, but the main ones are who, what, which, when, where, why. Right? So how do we use these? Let's get them all down first. Let's do that. Who is Maya? Where is Ayah? When is Mataya? And why is Matawai? Okay. So Maya is literally flocking how we would begin a sentence that asks the question who. So in this sense, we're talking about a person, right? It's a word to interrogative, the identity of a person. Who is it? In this sense, it's the identity of a what? Of a thing. In this sense, it's the identity of a what? A location or a place. In this sense, is the identity of what? Time, a time frame. In this sense, is the identity of what? A reason or a motivation, right? Very important words we'll use and can be used in a lot of ways. And let's see it work in the scripture starting from the top going down. Go to Exodus chapter 15 and verse 11.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 15 and verse 11. Who? Test. Who is like unto thee, O Lord, among the gods? Who is like thee, glorious in holiness, fearful in praise, doing wonders?
Mm-hmm. Con. I'm going to go ahead and read it in Hebrew. It says, Maya kamka ba'alam Yahweh. Maya kamka na adar ba Qadash Slakia Nara'ah Tahalath Aisha Pala'ah. The first part, Maya kamka ba'alam Yahweh. Who is like the Lord among the gods? Who? Like, name them. Right? Then it says, who is like thee, glorious in holiness, fearful in praises, doing wonders? These are both questions. Who is it? Who is this person? I don't know who it is. I need you to identify them for me. Salakia. These are different from a word that's not asking the question. Each of these words is utilized to ask a question that is important. Because there are times when you might see in English whom or who used in a way that's not forming a question. These are question words. When you see maya, ma, aya, mathaya, manawai, it's a question being asked. Who is that? Who are you? All right? Let's see if we can find that. Just a moment. In the book of Job, chapter 9 and verse 24, it says, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Right? Now, the where used here is slightly different. Right? It's related, but it's just a different form. But at the end of it, it says, and who is he? That's the question. And that question is posed in this way. We'll do it right here. We'll say, who is he? And it's written, Maya, Hawa'ah. What does Hawa'ah mean? Mm-hmm. Right. So literally it says what? Who he? Who this? Who that is? Who? He. Maya Hawa'ah. Who is he? So then I wonder if we have enough information to find out how to say, who are you? Let's see. We would, right? Because how do we say you? Remember, this is informal. So this is formal because we don't know who it is. We're asking, who are you? So it's not like you're a person I know. If you're a person I know, then I wouldn't have to speak this way. But like you said, it's Anya, right? So I'm just gonna say what? Maya. No, Anya is I. Yanazor? Yeah, Anya is I. Right. For you. So how will we say, who are you? Remember, we don't have this in Hebrew. We don't have copulas or connecting verbs. We don't use verbs that way. We don't just throw a verb in there just to have it, just to make it make sense. It's implied. It's implied in the maya. See? How do we say you? That's one way, but that's how we say it in connection with another word. We attach the ka at the end of a word, right? Usually a noun. Your name is a possessive, right? But we can also use it as you too. We can also use it as you in certain instances. We're going to use it in a second. If we attach it to a noun, it's possessive. Shamka, your name. Abaka, your father, right? If we attach it to like a verb, right? Like I think say, what's the word for hungry? Or is it kasar? I think kasar might be the word for hungry. Kasar ka would be like you're hungry. Or we can use that, and we actually use that to ask a question. Right? We'll get to that in a second. But in this sense, we're using informal. I'm sorry, Salakia. We're using the formal form. What is the formal form of saying you? If I say it, you're going to be upset. You good? Y'all know this one. Select. If I could just get a little bit more.
I'm writing this a big one.
You're gonna be so mad when I say it. How would I say bless you in Hebrew? There we go. Come, Maya, Slakia. Maya, not Ma. Maya Atha. Who are you? Who you? Maya Atha. All right. Who is he? Maya Hawa'a. The Lord asks in the book of Genesis, chapter 3 and verse 11, who told thee that thou wast naked? Who told you were naked? I'm going to read it in Hebrew. Waya Amor, Maya, Hagayad, Laka, Kaya, Ayarum. Right? Right. That's it. Maya, who, Hagayad, told, Laka, to you, Kaya, that Ayarum, naked. Who told you that you were naked? Who? Tell me who said that. Right? Maya. And we're going to use all of these in a similar fashion. We're going to start a sentence with them and add what's necessary to find out the answer we're looking for. So the next one is ma, which is what? Mm-hmm. So we can ask a question. Kasar is not hungry. Kasar is want. So how would we say, what do you want? This is an instance where we can use the possessive. Right? Because there's a verb involved. So we can say, right? We want to say, what do you want? What do you want? All right. Now we know that the word for want is kasar. So how might we say, what do you want? Kasar. Now remember, the focus here is on what the person wants, not on the you. No. Ma kasar, right, that's correct. But there's one more part. The you. But we're not going to use a thumb. I'm giving you a clue. We're not going to use a thumb because now we're not being formal. We don't need to be. And we have a nice verb to attach this suffix to. We just talked about it a second ago. There we go. Give her a hand. We would say ma. Kasar ka. What want you? What do you want? We're not being formal. We don't need to use atha here. Ma kasar atha, or ma kasar atha wouldn't necessarily be wrong. It would just be weird. You wouldn't talk, the kind of person that you're talking to, you wouldn't talk to someone like that who you know well. What do you want? You wouldn't talk to them like that. So it'd be weird to use this formal word. We use a the in the greeting because it's the same greeting that we do what? That we give to brothers we know as well as brothers we don't know. It's the same greeting we give to what? To generals. You got to be formal. Right? Ma kasarka. And we can actually answer this question too. Does anyone know how to say, I want something? We know the word for want is kasar. Let's say you want to say, I want food. Anyone know the Hebrew word for food? Okay, how would you say I want bread? That's the word for bread. How would you say I want bread? Mm-hmm. You could say, no, that's you just said Anya lakum. That's I'm bread. Slow down. You got it, brother. You want it. Just take your time. I want bread. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. There we go. Anya kasar lakum. Right? I want bread. That's correct. Right? But again, that's a little formal, right? But that's not wrong. You can say Anya kasar lakum. Another way you can say it would be like this. You could say, this one is fading. Yanzo, if you could give me another marker, because this one is fading. You can say kasar lakum. Right. Is also used for I. It's a less formal way of saying it when the is attached to a verb. I want. Right. Kasar lakum. I want bread. How would you say I want food? You would say kasar a call. A call is food. The water. Kasar a call. And many other things you can say. You can just plug in any noun at this point. I want, you know what I'm saying, McDonald's. Kasar McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? Kasar a Whopper with cheese. Kasar tacos. All right. Now let's talk about where. Now, this is a great example. This is the book of Exodus, chapter 2 and verse 20. Can you get that, Yanazor? Exodus 2 and 20. Read it in the English first, then read it in the Hebrew. Mm-hmm. Con.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 2, and verse 1 in English. And there went a man of the house of Levi and took to wife a daughter of Levi.
No, Exodus 2 and 20.
Salakia, sir.
Swap.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 2 and 20. And he said unto his daughters, and where is he? Why is it that ye have left the man? Call him that he may eat bread. In the Hebrew.
Good.
Waya Amar al Banathia wa.
Mm-hmm.
Wa ayan.
Mm-mm.
No, wa ayawa. Wa
Mhm.
ayawa. Salakia. Lama za Izabath thun. Ibath was Ibath. Izabathun. Ibathus. Izabathun.
Mm-hmm.
Ath. Ha'ayash. Qara'an. Lawa. Waya akol lakam.
Con. So it says, and he said unto his daughters, Waya Amar al Banathua. So Waya Amar, and he said, al to Banathua, his daughters, Wa Aya Wa. In this case, where is he is literally one word. Mm-mm. He said, and where is he? It says, Wa Ayawa. The where is he part is this. Ayawa. Because as we said before, we talked about it in class before, the possessive can be used as a pronoun when attached to the right word under the right circumstance. Ayawa, where he. Could you say Aya Hawa'a? Sure you can. You could say that. You could also say Mayawa. You can say either one. Depends on the situation. You know what I'm saying? If there's an element of familiarity, you might use this a little bit more. Right? Just a moment. Mm-mm. You can also write the ayah with a ha at the end to kind of separate it, to make, because you got ayah, which also means island. So you can write this ayah like this. You know what I'm saying? It's lucky. Good night. Hey, shalom. How about Officer 5,000 Yarash Amath. Nah, you the Hebrew scholar. Yarash Amath, I don't know if y'all seen him in the damn at the Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread the next day. After the Passover, Yarash Amath out of Virginia. He originally from Jersey, but he's out of Virginia now. He was reading for the Sabbath service. I never heard a nigga read so fast in my life. Why is Shamlaka? I was like, Most High in Christ, God, I know one God. Right. It was like, damn, just let that brother stay up there. You know what I'm saying? Why is Shamlaka? Ma, Kasar, Ayawa. I'm like, damn. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to be like you, sir. Most High in Christ. Salakia. All right. So, Iowa. And let's get one more scripture for the where. Let's go to, let's see. Go to Isaiah 33 and 18. $33. English first.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 33 and verse 18. Labaka, Yahaga, Ayama, Ayah, Sapar, Ayah, Shaqual, Ayah, Sapar, Ath, Hamagadolium.
Mm-hmm. Hamagadolium, right? I believe Gadol means a tower. So if we read this, Labaka, thine heart, Yahagah, shall meditate, Ayama, terror. But here we go. It says, where is the scribe? It says, Ayah Sapar. Then it says, where is the receiver? Ayah Shaqual. Then it says, where is he that counted? Right? And it says Sapar again. Right? It says, Ayah Sapar Ath Hamagadolium. Right? So that where. So if you want to know where something is, you say where and the thing. Simple. Ayah Yanazar. Ayah Yaramat. Ayah Hashapar. Ayah Hashapar. What's that mean? What did I just ask? Well, I couldn't be. I said Ha Shapar. I didn't say Ayah Shapar. I said Ayah Ha Shapar. Where is the Shapar? Where's the shofar? Right? The horn. Most High in Christ. All right. All right. Next we got when. Let's see how to use when real quick. Con. Let's go to Job 7 and 4. Read that in English real quick, Yanazor. Yeah, Job 7 and 4.
This is the book of Job, chapter 7 and verse 4 in English. When I lie down, I say, when shall I rise? Arise, Salakia, arise, and the night be gone, and I am full of tossings to and fro until the dawning of the day. I can relate.
No sweat. The part I want is where it says, notice when it says when I lie down, the first word in Hebrew is not mayatha. Why is it not mayatha? The first word in Hebrew here is shakabathia. Or it could be shakabthaya. Why is it not? The first word is when, but it doesn't say mathaya. Why? Right, you're right. But what is that context? We talked about it earlier in class. What is it not doing? Mm-mm. What is it not doing for? They're interrogative pronouns. So what must be happening? There we go. Give her a hand. No, you're right here. My question is being asked. So in this sentence, the word when is used in English, but that part is not a question. We don't see mathaya until a question is asked, right? Right. And that's what the difference. You got to be very careful when you're translating these things. Right? Just like the brother said in the prologue to Ecclesiasticus, where they labored to translate it. Because if you don't know any better, you'll just see the word when and be like, oh, I know the word when in Hebrew is mathaya. But it's context. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. They're interrogative. All of these, until I find out something different, you know what I'm saying? If I find out something different, of course, y'all be the first to know, and I'll clarify it. But as far as I know, these are all interrogative words. There must be a question being asked. So you're not going to use when in the sense of as it is in the beginning of this sentence, when it says, when I lie down. Because I can say, you know, when I think about my childhood, I get happy. I'm not asking the question. I'm telling you about a time. So time is involved, but I'm not asking about it. Yeah.
Real quickly, sir, just, you know what? When it says that we'll be turned to a pure language, I'm beginning to really understand that now.
Damn right. So when we see mathaya in this sentence, it'll be when the question is asked. So we read it from the top, right? It says, when I lie down, I say. That's not a question. It's telling you, when I lie down, this is what I say. Now here come the questions. When shall I arise and the night be gone? And when it says, when shall I arise, it says, mathaya a quawum. Mathaya a quawum. Going back to the use of the we talked about. Right? Quawum means to rise. Let's look it up. H6965. Right? It's where we get quam from, like quam yasha'ala. So it's like rising. When shall I be rising? Continuous action. Right? But is asking. Mathaya aquawum. Right? I might ask on that one why it says that there. I'm wondering if it could also say quam, if we should say quam, but I'm pretty sure, like, again, the wa turns it into that continuous action. Right? But mathaya aquawum. When shall I rise? Then after that, it says, wa, madad, and be gone. right? The night I rob. Wa Shabbat such and such. And I want to go to another scripture. Go to Psalms 41 and 5. We solving a lot of issues and showing a lot of things. We only got about a minute left. We're probably over the time or about at the end. We're just gonna get to why real quick and just show the usage, and that'll be that. Read it in English first.
This is the book of Psalm, chapter 41 and verse 5 in English.
Mm-hmm.
Mine enemies speak evil of me.
Mm-hmm.
When shall he die?
Woo!
And his name perish.
Damn, Yanazo, you must be reading a different book. This can't be the Bible you reading.
This is the Bible.
He said, mine enemies speak evil of me. When he gonna die? Who's talking here?
This is David, right?
This is King David talking. My enemies be
David,
speaking, they be speaking
King
on my
David.
name. Now you see why them brothers who in they rap songs, you see why they have that fire, that mentality. And we always tell them it's not the mentality that's wrong. It's not wrong. It's not wrong to want to see your ops die, but you got to know who your ops are. You know what I'm saying? King David said, mine enemies speak ill of me. When shall he die? Right? And that question, when he gonna die? When shall he die? Reads like this. So the whole thing in Hebrew is awayabya, right? So enemy is ayab, right? But awayabya, ya amarwa, rai, evil, la ya to me, or of me here. Mathaya, when ya mawath, wa abad. When shall he die and perish? Right? His name, Shamwaz at the end. When shall he die and perish his name? But the when shall he die is Mathaya Yamawath. The word for die is Mawath. Right? But it says what? It says Yah Mawath. Going back to what we said about possessives. What does Yah mean at the beginning of a sentence? Well, this isn't possessives, so to speak. Wah. So this wouldn't technically be counted as a possessive. There we go. His or he. He or his. Yah Mawath. He died. You understand? Mathaya Yamawath. When will he die? What is the time? When is he dying? I want to know. Yeah, this is the question I have. I want to say this. You can say this about the devil. Mathaya Yawamath. When is he going to die? I might say it at camp tomorrow. Lord willing, we go to camp. I might. Mathaya Yawamath. It's like Yamowath, not Yawamath. Yamowath. Right. Mathaya Yamawath. Mathaya Yamawath. When shall he die and his name perish? Wa abad shamwa, and perish his name. Right? Damn right. That's right. Mathaya Yamawath, right? Last one. We won't spend too much time because we got to go. One second. Let's go to Jeremiah 2 and 14. Read it in English.
This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 2 and 14 in English. Is Israel a servant? Is he a home-born slave? Why is he spoiled?
Right. Why is he spoiled? In Hebrew, ha'ibad yasha'ala yalayad bayath hawa'a marawai haya labaz. Right? Why is he spoiled? Is marawai haya labaz. Right? The haya is to be, if I'm not mistaken. Khan. Or to he is. Haya is like he is. Right? Why he is spoiled. Labaz. Get one more and we done. Jeremiah 46 and 15. I'll read it, Yonazor. Why are thy valiant men swept away? They stood not because the Lord did drive them. In Hebrew, Madawai Nasakap Abayaryaka La'a Imad Kaya Yahweh Hadapwa. That's Jeremiah 46 and 15. Right? And it says Malawai Nasakap, why swept away Abayaryaka, your valiant men, because it's like the word is Abayar, which means, let me get to it, a mighty man, right? Or a valiant man. Strong. Abayar. Abayaryaka. So Malawai, why swept away your valiant men or your mighty men. Again, starting with Malawai. Why something? So you start with Malawai and you end it with whatever the question you're asking or whatever the words, you know what I'm saying? Why swept away your valiant men? So you can say why, let me think of a word. Why is anything? You can say, why is the Lord merciful? Why is Israel destroyed? Right? But you would start it with Madawai. In the sense of why is he spoiled? It was what? It was Madawai, Haya, Labaz. Can y'all follow me? Can Most High in Christ. Which one? This one? Which one? Madawai, Haya, Labaz. Why is he, or he is, this is more like he is, why he is spoiled. Like it's asking, but in Hebrew you can flip it. Why he is spoiled. All right. Most High in Christ. Is that one? Let's see. No, that's 2 and 14. Is Israel a servant? So that's what we got for today. You know what I'm saying? We wanted to get into the interrogative pronouns. We still got another whole half. We got to get to the how part, the how we utilize how. Okay, so that's what we'll talk about next week. Is there any questions in the room? Any questions online? I'm saying you type them in. Come, Most High in Christ, no sweat. So next week, back at it, same thing. You know what I'm saying, just continuation. You know what I'm saying? And with that, I'm going to pass the class over to priest and officer of Bahana Yanazar.
Just security announcements. We are the Isupk out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commandant General Yohana. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or a sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or a sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or a sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers 18 and 21, in Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 through 10, means 10th in the Hebrew, and is pronounced ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or teach priest fund. Free will offering for priests, not mandatory, whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocations. June 12th will be the Feast of First Fruits. We're doing that in Charlotte, right? I believe so. June 12th, the Feast of First Fruits. Remind Akim and Akwakim to check on social media such as isupk.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for the ISUPK events and material. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he is to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, shirt, pants, headband, or scarf. And with that, men of Israel, I imagine